What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Shoot the Gap, the IDP Fantasy Football podcast here at Fantasy in Frames. I'm your host, Jorge Edwards. With me, got Steve Hungarter. Awesome time at the Fantasy Football Expo, my friend, especially at the Kings Classic Dick Butkus IDP draft. Are you exhausted?
Too short. What do you think? It was like a blink of the eye. It's already over. I want to go back.
No, it was. Literally, I feel like a lot of the time when we do like these long drafts, I walk out of there just like I need a power nap, like nobody's business. Like I feel like I don't feel like I look old, although my wife would bust jokes to say that I do. But I certainly feel older than I probably am. So I gotta work on that. But
how do you feel about your draft board?
I definitely went the atypical route. So normally I would have gone, traditional, offense mixture with linebackers and then kind of like then edge rushers and filled in. But this year I'm going a little bit different. I'm playing the volatile box safety slot corner route.
Intriguing.
And seeing and then filling in with elite edge rushers and then kind of like punting LB1s and going from like LB2s with LB3s with upside. So
there's a great Twitter picture of me and you. I was gonna, on my way back, I was gonna circle like our faces, but I didn't want to make anybody conscious. Me and you are just laser focused, like sharks with lasers, just in our draft board. Everybody else is like talking and joking. So that's why I had to ask. I knew you had a strategy over there.
Absolutely. What about you? How are you feeling about your draft?
Oh, I'm good. I feel strong most of the time. But it went so quick. To quote Eddie Money, I want to go back and do it all over. But I can't go back. I know.
No, I hear you.
Don't tell my wife I'm in here singing. She'll come in here and hit me with a broom.
Yeah, well, I am far enough down the household levels that, well, I don't know. I sing pretty loudly, so she could still hear me. But something tells me she's with 1.2 million viewers right now who are watching New Heights, watching Taylor Swift, and all that, which I can't wait to go back and listen to because that should be a fun episode here in itself. We got B Shells 13 in the chat. Is this the pants party? Do you know this person, or is this just a funny? It is the pants party. We are both wearing pants. So there we go. Congratulations.
I'm in shorts, so am I a little risky?
I'm in shorts too. I kind of call those pants. Okay, well then this is the shorts party.
Jorge's in shorts. Don't let him fool you. He's wearing jean shorts under there.
So I was joking back after the NFL draft about wearing overalls. And
I remember.
Yeah. So I brought the overalls to Ken, and then Sunday night, like a true unscared lion, I waited for everybody to leave the Doubletree Hotel to then put on the overalls. And I sat by the campfire, the fire pits outside, and everybody was like, "You have to be like utterly uncomfortable in those right now." And I'm like trying to fight through the discomfort. I'm like, "Nope, this is fine. And then at a certain point, I'm like, "All right, screw this. All right." But it was fun to bust those out. But yeah, folks, we're here to talk about the AFC North. We're going to have back-to-back episodes here of Shoot the Gap, starting at 8 Eastern here with the AFC North. Then at 9 p.m. Eastern, we're talking about the NFC North. And then next week, we wrap up all of our divisional previews with talking about the AFC South. Tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern, the guys at Fourth and Frames welcome very special guest, Howard Bender, to the show to talk about their must, bust, and values in the NFC North. So a lot of North talk today. We are Kings of the North here on Fantasy and Frames Wednesday. So
I'm going to watch Game of Thrones after this. That's a great intro.
Speaking of intro, Ultra GM, you've been bringing it up for the past few weeks here on Shoot the Gap, and the more you keep showing me like teams of like 50 players, I'm just like, holy crap, this game looks super addictive for those dynasty managers looking to take things to the next level. Can you share with the people a little bit more about that, Steve?
I can do that. Not only that, I think I unlocked the Da Vinci Code. I think I figured it out.
All right.
As you guys know, Ultra GM, it's the only place you can play offensive linemen. You can play offense. You can play defense. You get points for all that. You get points for punt returners. If you guys are interested, it's a $30 membership. You get two teams. You get a 32-team league, and you get a 14-team league. But if you use promo code Hunter, it's $5 off. So $25, one franchise, two teams. But there's inner strategy. There's inner workings here. Like, for example, you don't get the draft picks of your team. You don't. So you get what the actual team, the real life NFL team gets. So, my strategy was, let's take the Panthers. So if you're a guy that thinks you can do better than the GM, this is your team. This is for you. Another strategy is you can poach other people's practice squads. Like I went over on the Broncos team and he had Jonathan Cooper just sitting on his practice squad. What are you doing? I'll take him. Thank you. The starting lineups are insane in this, Jorge. You get to start 7 offensive linemen. I'm like, 7? I don't know how scoring goes, but I literally spent a day or a weekend just to show you how exciting I am. Remember Steve, Wild and Crazy Guy? This is the Wild and Crazy Guy here. I spent a whole weekend, Jorge, with my PFF screen opened up, and I was going through all the great offensive lineman starters, and I was going in my waiver free agency, and I'm just plucking them in. So I have 7. I got guys that you probably never heard of, like Will Freeze. Just I have these random offensive linemen that I plugged in. So I'm hoping to get points while other guys are playing bench spots. Then I'm running a wishbone. All season, my strategy is, Jorge, I'm going to get guys who touch the football. So I drafted guys like Mason Taylor, Tet, guys that I know they're Jalen Late. I'm going to get guys that can touch the football. I scotch taped a defense together with our mindset, our IDP players. And then lastly, this offensive line. If this holds, I feel good about it. But it's Ultra GM. I'm over there playing. My 32-team league just started. I sent Jorge a long list, and he's like, oh, my goodness. Remember that?
Oh, I remember, yes.
And my 14 team hasn't started yet. So if you guys want to play with me, all you got to do is go over there, put in promo code Hunter, find my name, IDP Hunter, or, my email, whatever, and then my league will come up. You can join my league. But it's really catching on. They were at the expo. They were in the back. I didn't have time to really give them the love that I wanted to because we had to go on stage. But Ultra GM, it's kind of fun. It's an up-and-coming business, and I'm happy to be part of it.
Very nice. JT, welcome to the show. How are you doing, my friend?
Hey, guys. Sorry for the delay. Stuck at football practice. Just got home. Ready to roll, though.
No,
well, good thing for you. I like to talk on in circles about my Ultra GM. So I like playing over there, and I like playing with you.
There we go. Before we get into the topic for today's show, I just want to shout out Trophy Smack. They put out a ton of like really quality merchandise, and I've been doing so for years. Look over my shoulder. Here we go. This shoulder over here. See one of their championship belts. See one of their Scott Fishbowl rings right there. And something that they do very rarely is give out promo codes for percentages off of their products. Normally it's like buy this much money's worth of stuff and then you get a free ring or a free plaque or something. Well, no. This year they're not messing around. You use the promo code Fantasy in Frames 10. That's the number 10. And you get 10% off any of the purchases you want. Trophies, belts, draft kits, banners, rings, like I was just mentioning, like anything they have on their website. Use the promo code Fantasy in Frames 10 off discount today. Seriously,
Jorge, I just used mine. I just used my 10% off. I just got in the mail my new draft board. We were using an old, like 75-pound wooden draft board that someone made for me 20 years ago. And just carrying that thing around and hauling it to the bar when we do the live draft was a nightmare. Finding somebody that had a truck big enough we could get it in the back of it was a nightmare. We've shed it this year. We've thrown it away. I went on Trophy Smack, got a new board, got a new draft board, got the stickers. It's going to be 100 times easier. Awesome. Got my percentage off. It was fantastic. Came to me within a couple days. You still have time. My draft's this Sunday. You definitely have time if you're drafting the next week or two to get a board still in. So super cool. It's going to be super fun, easy to use, all the stickers for all the player names and everything.
Nice.
I'd like to see that board personally.
It's very glossy. The stickers are glossy.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's a really nice board. And if you want, next year I'm going to order a specific one. You can get designs. I just ordered like their straight redraft board, really nice. They've got a couple samples on their website. But I got one. We got a big 217 for my Dynasty league. I'm going to get that. It's like an NFL 217. So I'm going to have one made for next year. But I got one of the ones because I waited too long. But luckily they sent it out to me within like 2-3 days. So I was golden. I got it before my draft started.
Very nice. Folks, if you head over to our YouTube channel right now, or our Facebook page while you're watching this, I am dropping in the comments the link to our Shoot the Gap Listener League podcast. We have 4 spots left. Originally, I put it on ESPN. The masses have spoken. Sleeper is king in all things apps, so I moved everything over to Sleeper. The link is now in the YouTube chat, so make sure you head over to our YouTube page, like and subscribe while you're there, as well as on our Facebook page. And yeah, we can't wait to compete against you all. We got a lot of IDP love this past weekend. As you all know, we've been hosting the IDP panel at the Fantasy Football Expo since 2021. And this year was really fun, Steve, having you on, having, Gary and Nate and John Norton and Iggy, IDP Iggy, just a great collection of people who know a lot about IDP Fantasy Football. The crowd turnout was great. The questions they were asking, thank you all very much for all the great questions. JJ Wenner, you, sir, deserve a medal for being the best host / MC that we had for the panel. That you just kept us on target and on pace, and really appreciate all the hard work you did. And I want to give a shout out to Professor IDP, who he specializes in defensive tackle IDP fantasy football. And him and I, we talked about, we talked years ago about just IDP when I first met him online. And this year I finally got to meet him in person, which was really cool to do, which is one of the benefits of going to things like the Fantasy Football Expo. But he brought his young son with him. And one of the things that we were doing, we were giving away an autographed framed Jared Allen poster. And we thought, you know what, nobody is getting this but this young man. So we were able to give it to him. Shout out to Gary Davenport for acquiring this. And it just capped off the great panel that we had, the hour-long panel. And JT, next year we got to get you on the panel and when you come to the expo.
I got to get the expo. The coaching junior high football, that's our very first game of the season each year. So the last couple of years, I've not been able to go. I went a few years ago before my son got to junior high football. But I got to make a way. I got to figure out a way I can get a good time.
There is a way.
Fly out there, get there quick, and fly back so I can get back for my game. So
you don't have to worry about that. You know why? They have moved up the Fantasy Football Expo to not in August, but the last weekend in July.
That's fantastic. Even better. That is now I'm in. I'm in for sure. I'll have football practice, but I can skip practice a couple of days to make the expo. Missing the first game when you're the defensive coordinator and special teams coach is not a good thing. So it's like I gotta be there for that.
On that note, too, you're gonna bump into like this year's my second year. So many people are just bumping up to me that I didn't know, showing their love. You mentioned Professor IDP. I've played with him in leagues. We're in Iggy's FF7 league together. And I actually got an opportunity to reach out, like, oh, hey, nice to meet you and your son. He was just in the crowd, and his kid was just sitting there and happened to win was it a Jared Allen? Yeah, it was a big, I forget the sizes, but it was a beautiful, beautiful prize.
Jorge, you just made my freaking day. That's awesome. They're moving it up. I'm so glad because I was like, man, if they would move that up to like the end of July, it'd be so much better for everybody that coaches high school and junior high football. So that's awesome. I'm pumped. I'm in now.
Yeah,
give me a ticket. Sign me up. I'm in.
You say that, and Bob Lung's going to hear this, and he's going to be like, "Oh, sending JT one right now." But anyhow, let's get into our topics today because the Fourth and Frames guys, who I mentioned earlier, they got Howard Bender on. They said, "Jorge, if you run over on your Shoot the Gap episodes today, we will literally drive to Washington D.C. and beat you with a bar of soap." And I was like, "Whoa, that's a little extreme, guys! Jesus, like we're just talking about being a few minutes late on a podcast, like, and you're going code red on me, and it's like." No, Jorge, we're taking this very seriously. I mentioned that specific example because I, on YouTube, for some reason, have been seeing like clips of A Few Good Men, which the topic was the Code Red and whatnot with Jack Nicholson. I forgot how awesome of a movie that is from beginning. I like literally just started it up the other day, just watching it from beginning to end. I'm like, this is classic. This is amazing. They don't make movies like this anymore. This is fantastic.
Dude, Jorge, I am on a old school movie bender lately. Like when I go to watch something, I'm only pulling up movies from like the 90s and early 2000s. I'm like going back and rewatching everything. Stuff that I watched like in high school or like beginning of college. I'm going back and rewatching and I'm like, oh, this movie makes so much more sense in my 40s than in my 20s when I wasn't quite aware of what they were trying to talk about in this movie fully. I've gone back and watched a ton of movies and I'm like, oh, I forgot how good this freaking movie is. It's been great. I've been all over the board, comedies, thrillers, horror movies, well, you name it. It's been really actually really cool to go back and watch some of these older movies that I hadn't seen in 20 years.
Crimson Tide is another one with Jack Nicholson and Denzel Washington. Just there's so many to pick from. But anyhow, we may get into that in another time. Right now, let's talk about the AFC North. Let's get into our must, busts, and sleepers here. Steve, why don't you get us kicked off with our musts here from the Baltimore Ravens?
I don't think this is a hot take, but the AFC North is probably the best IDP division in all of football. I mean, there's so many people to choose from. JT, I don't remember if you remember a couple weeks ago, we were doing the NFC South, the NFC West. We're like, this is mom's meatloaf. This is pot roast. Like, there's so many great players.
I love meatloaf.
So many great players in this one. Like, I don't know, drafting IDP, it's like boom or bust sometimes, depending on what division. It's like, remember Superman 2? Remember when he switches into the chamber? You think you're powering your guys up, but really, you're taking away some of their stats. That's how I feel with like these other divisions. But this one here, you got so many players to choose from. So I don't have to pull a Superman 2 here. You gave me the Ravens. You gave me the musts. I can go a couple ways here. Do I go Kyle Hamilton? Do I go Roquan Smith? Here's the fun question. Gun to my head, which one would I take? Which one would be my must in a draft? Given the way I play with defensive backs a lot of times, I usually don't get the top guys. But Roquan Smith, for me, is my must with the Ravens. He's been the green dot now since, 2021. Here's a name for you. Remember when he took over for Danny Trevathan? Remember that guy?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Way back in the day, 2021. This guy's been the green dot ever since. He's been the on-field communicator, every single year. You got to draft him early, though. If you don't get him as an LB2, LB3, you're not going to get him. But yeah, the two guys here would be, linebacker Roquan Smith, and if you wanted to, you can get a high-end DB. I'll read him as well, Kyle Hamilton. For the last 3 years, he's been consistent. He's been your guy, getting over 100-plus tackles right close to the line of scrimmage. But those are my two. If you made me rank them, I'd say Smith and Hamilton. But that's all I got. So many players to choose from. Those would be my two.
Nice. JT, who do you got for a bust candidate here for the Baltimore Ravens?
This one hurts me, and I'm hoping he's going to prove me wrong and put it all together this year. But right now it's Trenton Simpson. I own so much Trenton Simpson in IDB leagues. It's insane. He was real up and down last year. We thought, okay, Patrick Queen's gone. He's going to step in next to Roquan Smith. He's going to be that guy that you're going to be able to get, 10 rounds later than Roquan Smith, 12 rounds later than Roquan Smith, but you're still going to get decent production because in his career, the guy playing next to him has been a pretty good IDP asset. He just was so hit and miss last year. There were games where you're like, okay, I got some out of him. And there are other games you're like, man, he just murdered me this week. I'm hoping he steps it up this year and another year as a full-time starter. But right now, he is the guy I'm most nervous about on this team because I feel like this team across the board is loaded. This Ravens defense should be absolutely phenomenal. He's the one guy I'm really questioning in this unit. There's some guys up front. I don't love Awe. I've been kind of a hater on him most of his career, but he kind of proved me wrong last year. He actually stepped it up a little bit and was much better. So he's usually the guy I'm fading. Right now I'm fading Trenton Simpson. If I'm picking late in the draft, I might still take him and give him another shot. Because like I said, I've got him in a ton of IDP leagues. I'm hoping he's going to figure it out. But right now, that's the one guy. If I'm taking all these studs on this team, that's probably the one guy. That's the last guy I'm taking in this unit.
Nice. And then for a Ravens sleeper here, I'm going with the rookie Malachi Starks out of Georgia. In college last year was the fifth best run defending safety in the 2025 class. We look at, defensive backs here. We especially at the safety position, we like to think about two things, either their box safety snaps or their versatility at various positions in the secondary. You go looking at his total snap percentages last year, at free safety, 45.6%, at slot, 29.4%, at box, 23.3%. When targeted by opposing quarterbacks, he had the 13th lowest among all safeties in all college football, with a quarterback rating of 68.4. Here's the cool thing about him. And this is kind of the cool thing that made Kyle Hamilton one of the elite defensive backs here. This guy can play strong. This guy can play free. Like they can utilize him anywhere over the field. In fact, even though technically he came out as a free safety, in 2024, he played 7 games as a box safety and only 5 at free safety. Conversely, you go back to last season, Kyle Hamilton, yes, he played a majority of his games at strong safety, 14, but he had 3 games where he was playing at free safety. Now, was that partially because the free safety on the other side wasn't exactly helping him out and doing any favors? And Kyle Hamilton's like, oh, I guess I got to go over here. Or the coaches are saying he has to go play over there. Now you have 2 safeties that can feed off of each other. And the fact that they both are proficient at everything they do on the field, he could be somebody who could be a sleeper later on throughout the season. And then, God forbid, something happens to Kyle Hamilton, Malachi Starks, he could just jump right in there and assume that box safety role. So he's definitely somebody I am definitely looking forward to. Definitely. If I say definitely one more time, I'm going to punch myself. Anybody have any comments on Malachi Starks?
I like Starks. The question was, when he was drafted, the big knock on him, IDP, was, is he going to be the deep safety? How does he fit with this safety unit? And now with the injuries and stuff, he looks like he's clear-cut going to be a starter for this team. And we know they move him around a lot. There's talk of Hamilton kind of playing a little bit of that nickel slot as opposed to the strong safety role. So there's a chance that Hamilton and Starks could both play there, like you said. So I tell you what, that was my only hesitation. To me, I think it's funny that the Ravens got him because it's classic Ravens. Drafting a guy, great value at a great time. Everybody else passing on him. He was like Kyle Hamilton. Didn't blow away the combine. Wasn't quite as fast as some other guys. Wasn't quite as athletic as some other guys. Well, how'd that work out for the Ravens? Well, Kyle Hamilton's a freaking stud because he just knows how to play safety. That's Starks. Starks knows how to play safety. I as a Steelers fan, I just get angry every year because the Ravens just crush it in the draft and get great value all the time. I'm loving Starks. Again, my hesitation's now off. I think he's going to be in the mix. I think he's going to get enough box safety snaps to make it worthwhile, which is kind of crazy because it feels like we've got a lot of guys on defense we need to eat this year for the Ravens, but I think it's possible. I think a lot of them can.
You know what you reminded me of, JT? Remember Ed Reed, prime Ed Reed with the Ravens? He was a Hall of Fame ball hawk. But IDP stats weren't always there because QBs wouldn't test them. They'd go other ways, and they had to deal with Ray Lewis's led, defensive fronts and run stops. That's my only concern. How free is he going to play? That, with Kyle Hamilton. There's only so many players that are going to eat. That's my only concern. But other than that, the talent, the act, all that stuff's there. Sometimes you just got to let them play it out and see what happens.
100%. All right, let's go to the Pittsburgh Steelers here. JT, one of your favorite teams. Who is the obvious must here for the Pittsburgh Steelers?
I mean, you basically put it in my lap. My guy, TJ Watt. I mean, if we're looking at redraft, depending on what your scoring system is, he's number one. He's probably number one on a lot of boards as a number one overall IDP guy in a redraft league. Obviously, the age with him being 30 pushes him down slightly in Dynasty. To me, I'm not worried about it. Got the new 3-year deal. I think that was huge. This team really faded on defense near the end of the year. TJ also faded a little bit down the stretch, I have to say. Lowest sack total in a full season since his rookie year, 11.5 last year. Still was, a top 20 guy. He's 13 or more sacks every year of his career, other than the rookie year where he had 7, and then the injury year where he only played 10 games, he had 5.5. Coming off 2 years ago, a 19-sack season, I think the Steelers team is going to be much better. I think the defense is going to be rested. I think their offense is going to be better with Rodgers. Last year, this team just fell apart down the stretch because they were just on the field constantly because this offense couldn't get it done. I think that's going to be better. I think we're going to get rested. I think TJ with the new 3-year deal at 30 years old, I'm not passing him on the age. I don't care if it is Dynasty. He's still in my top 5 overall Dynasty guys. I'm taking him. He's on my list. I still got him number 1. That's probably some homerism by me with the Steelers, but I think he's got multiple years of 15 to 20 sacks still in him. So I really like him. We're 2 years removed for him being the number 2 overall scorer in Fantasy Pros with 261.5 points. 4 years ago, he was number 1, 269 points in Fantasy Pros. And if you're in a big like sack, fumble, recovery type of league, he's the guy that can win you a week easily if he has a monster game. So to me, it's clearing away TJ Watt. I'm not scared off by the 11.5 sacks last year. I think he's happy. I think this team is going to be better. I think he's going to be a beast.
Very nice. I'm going to go here with a bust candidate for the Steelers, who you would think the linebacker 19 in total tackles would not be somebody that you would, be fading. But when your inside linebacker who you bring over in free agency gives you a solo to assist of 65, 64, that's a bit problematic, and of course, I'm talking here about Patrick Queen, back-to-back, double-digit missed tackle rates over his entire career. The only thing he was graded well in last year per PFF were his pass rushing abilities for the inside linebacker, because that's what they brought him over here from Baltimore for.
Well, in a 3-4 system, right? Or a, it's like,
I mean, it just doesn't make. Like, I don't get it. And what's, second year linebacker Peyton Wilson is already getting reps with the green dot. I think the writing here is kind of on the wall that we're going to see a transition as we get closer to the end of training camp, with Wilson assuming more of the leadership role and the green dot role. Patrick Queen, man, like he had, it was such, playing opposite Roquan for a couple seasons. You thought, oh, he was eventually going to be a guy. And then his final year under contract with the Ravens, finally, he appeared next to Roquan, and they were a good tandem. Capitalizes on that good year, goes to Pittsburgh, and it just did not show up last year in the dominant fashion. I think a lot of people for IDP were assuming that it would. So, yeah, I'm calling Patrick Queen the bust here for IDP Fantasy Football.
Jorge, I'm going to jump in here real quick. I was all over this Queen signing. I loved it for Pittsburgh. It was what I wanted. It's not worked out the way they wanted. If he wasn't making the money he's making, I think we would be a little bit happier about his IDP performance. It's just, I think everyone thought that he was going to be the new Roquan Smith in the Steelers system. And he has shown that he's a number 2 guy. He just is. He's not the lead linebacker on a team. He's okay. He's decent. IDP-wise, he's decent, but being way overdrafted. Peyton Wilson outplayed him last year. If you watched at all in the preseason, I know Queen didn't play the first one. Peyton Wilson was everywhere. So I think if Peyton Wilson shows up and does what he can this year, I think Queen might be better in the fact that Queen is I think he's better designed to be a number 2 in the linebacking crew as opposed to the man. I don't know, Steve, what do you think about that assessment?
So if there ever was more beautiful poetry out of a human being's mouth, it was what Jorge just said about Patrick Queen. I've been saying this for years and years. His tackle efficiency has been dipping and dipping and dipping. He had those strong years when he had big brother Roquan Smith there. And again, where he excels, if you were to compare Wilson and Queen, Wilson beats him everywhere, all the major PFF categories but the rush. They don't rush him. He's a volume-based guy. Smoke him if you got him. Use that volume now while you can. But his time is running out, and I'm so happy. I'm so excited right now that Jorge actually went with Queen, because he's a polarizing figure like Nick Bolton and a couple of guys that we've mentioned in this podcast. A lot of people swear by him. I've been tapping the brakes on him for years. So I'm kind of glad that, he's in the spotlight right now. They're looking at him. And as Peyton Wilson grows, Queen's position is probably going to diminish less. But for this year, 1-year redraft, you can get away with playing him because we all know volume's king, or queen in his case.
All right, let's get to a Steelers sleeper here. Who you got for us here, Steve?
So remember that week when Jorge, or that month when Jorge was excited about, wearing overalls?
I brought them to the expo, JT, just in case you didn't hear that earlier.
That's fantastic. I did not know that, and I'm proud of you. That's awesome.
Thank you.
So same energy here. I'm excited about this guy like Jorge is about overalls. And what's funny about this guy He's drafted as a DL2. He is a fringe DL1. People don't realize it. He'll slide in your drafts. He's a great pass rusher. He's had double-digit potential seasons, and he has a strong run grade. This is Alex Highsmith, a guy you can put DL or LB. I play him DL, of course. Last season, before his injury, he actually finished with top 10 grades across the board. A lot of people don't know that if they're not looking at it. Yes, this includes pass rush. But more specifically, what I like about him, when he's on the field, he's getting over 74% of Pittsburgh's defensive snaps. That's more reliable than, delivery guy dropping my pizza on time. You know what I mean? So he's racked up every year. He's racked these elite stats and metrics. He'll put it together. He'll give you good numbers. You can literally, as a strategy, go back in your draft board and just find Highsmith later on at a discount of a price. The last point I want to make on him, teams don't necessarily plan to run against Watt, so they usually put their best blocker on his side, and they usually run on him. So he's going to gobble a whole lot of tackles, and he's usually getting all these stats against one of the better linemen on the team. So consider Highsmith. Like I said, I got him after the top 7, 8, 9, 10 go off the board. You can make a case that, in a 12-team league, 14-team league, he can be a DL1.
Very nice. All right, let's go.
I'm a big Highsmith guy. Like I will jump in on him if I miss out on TJ for sure. Mm-hmm. He's a guy that if I don't get one of those top 5 D linemen, he's one of the first guy that's on my queue getting ready to gobble up later on in the draft.
Very nice. All right, let's go to our Cleveland Browns now. Let's talk about a must. I don't know if you heard of this guy. Myles Garrett. Never heard of him yet. Well, he's only like one of the best edge rushers in all of the NFL, let alone for fantasy football. 2024 PFF graded him the edge rusher 2 in both overall rating and pass rusher rating. Almost 30 years old, yet has put together back-to-back seasons of 80-plus pressures with also back-to-back seasons of 14 sacks with no one giving him any assistance to relieve any blocking double teams on the other side of that defensive line. This guy is a monster. Don't really have to say too much about Myles Garrett. Like if you are somebody who wants to get your elite edge rusher early, that's who you're going for. All right, let's get into a bust here for the Cleveland Browns. Who do we got, gentlemen?
I put Mason Graham here, the rookie. It's so rough to criticize a rookie on here. But seriously though, he was traded for. He's always going to be compared to Travis Hunter. On top of that, he's a defensive tackle. He's going to get double teamed early and often. There's reports in camp he's out of breath, he's out of shape, what have you. But really, the real reason I put him down as a bust, when you looked at his combine, there were some concerns. Mason Graham's measurables at the combine, as far as measurements go, this is what when I did the fantasy 6-pack draft profiles, I did over 200 IDP players. If you guys want to check that out, but Graham was he weighed 296 pounds. He had 32-inch arms. That's really small for a defensive tackle, but yet he went as a top 5 pick because of what he could be. But the arm thing's a concern. But he gets knocked down a little bit as far as weight goes. That's pretty light for a defensive tackle. He's only listed 320. I know I say that. This is the kind of NFL we're in. 300 pounds is a big guy, but in defensive tackle, that's still a little light. But to give you some context, Graham was in the 59th percentile for height and weight, and he was in the 26th percentile, the 12th percentile for his arms. So he's the definition of bust for me because we don't know what we're going to get. He may turn out to be a good player, a good solid player, but we're talking IDP here. So just keep that in mind when you're drafting, especially these rookie drafts, and you're in a non-DT scoring league. Keep that in mind that, I know he's a top talent, but I necessarily don't play with DT. So just keep that in mind. If one guy in the Browns, the whole team can bust, to be honest, but for the premium that you would have to have paid to take him, I'm a little worried about Mason Graham.
Mason Graham, I am not touching unless it's a start defensive tackle league. I'll just say that right now. I'm not taking him unless it's a defensive start tackle league, and I'm probably taking him late in my rookie draft or late in a startup if I'm doing anything.
All right, JT, who are some sleepers here for the Cleveland Browns?
I'll go on the opposite side. The other rookie taken for Cleveland, Carson Schlesinger. out of UCLA, former walk-on. The guy was everywhere last year for UCLA. Now, is he going to be an elite linebacker in the NFL? I don't know about that. But what I do know is I really don't like the rest of the linebackers on this Browns team. I really don't. So I think Schlesinger, just in the fact that I think he's has a chance to be the guy on the field all the time, he's gonna get stats. Devin Bush, I'm not even gonna get into it because it's gonna make me angry. No, absolutely not. Devin Bush, Jerome Baker, dude keeps getting moved because again, just not good. With JOK out, I think when we saw Schlesinger go at the very top of the second round with all the offensive talent that was there that Cleveland needed, and they went Schlesinger at the top of the second round of the draft, to me, that sold me. I'm like, this team, JOK is not okay. Let's just be honest, he's not okay. It's a problem. And Schlesinger is the guy. Devin Bush is not going to do it for you. Jerome Baker's not going to do it. Schlesinger, even if he has terrible metrics this year, could end up putting up insane IDP numbers because who else is going to get tackles on this team? I mean, really, Cameron Mitchell's their nickel bat? Come on. Really? I mean, the next best guy tackler on this team is Grant Delpit. I mean, outside of that, I mean, for a team that was just absolutely loaded on defense the last couple of years, that we thought, hey man, this Browns team is just a truck on defense. I mean, it's starting to not look pretty. I mean, you're looking at Myles Garrett, Grant Delpit, Denzel Ward, who's really good in coverage. Newsom's pretty good in coverage. And then Schlesinger, he might be the third or fourth best guy on this defense. I'm probably overdrafting him in leagues, especially rookie IDP leagues that are tackle heavy. I think he could be a tackle machine. And I don't even think he has to be good to be a tackle machine. If that's the case for me, I'm buying a guy that I don't even think needs to play good. It still could score me a ton of IDP points. So that's why I think he is the sleeper for sure on the team. I'll give you a real quick one. This is deep league, guys. Deep league. So you're like 12, 14 team league. People, huge benches, 50 benches. Isaiah McGuire, my guy from Mizzou, he's there. He's battling for a defensive end spot, one of the opposite Myles Garrett. If he could end up winning that spot opposite Myles Garrett, and you know they're going to put everybody on Garrett, double team, triple team him. If he can win that job, I really like what I've seen out of him early in his career. Obviously, he hasn't had a ton of playing time. He was a fourth-round pick in 2023. He's a guy that if you're looking for just deep sleeper defensive end help in a league, he's a guy I'm picking up on waivers right now in a ton of my leagues and stashing and waiting to see what happens. If I need to clear him out when the season starts because I don't have room on my roster, I'm clearing him out. But right now, he's a guy I'm picking up for cheap off waivers because if he ends up winning that job opposite side of Garrett, that could be something that's worth something in fantasy.
So I did the Camp Battles article and over at Fantasy Six Pack, and it's between him and Alex Wright right now. That's his competition. But yeah, I like both of them for different reasons. But yeah, that's a good pick. And I like what you said about Carson. Sometimes you throw the stats out the window. You know, when you're looking at high tackle volume linebackers, it's like going to Costco. You know, you go for one thing, you end up getting 18 tackles.
Love it. Okay, let's go to the final team in the division. Let's go to the Cincinnati Bengals. JT, who you got here for a must here?
So if everything was kosher, everything was great, everybody was feeling good, he was signed, everything was on the money, I'd say Trey Hendrickson's your guy. I'm nervous about the situation there, whether, you know, what's going on there. So I'm gonna pass him off because of the situation. Logan Wilson's the other guy, you know, not the sexiest pick in the world, but just a guy that gets you tackles, makes plays, that, you know, he's on the field pretty much constantly. They run a 2 linebacker set. Jermaine Pratt's gone. They now got the rookie Knight in there. I think Logan Wilson is, you know, easily going to be the green dot all year. As long as he can stay healthy, he's a guy, you know, you never look at him and be like, man, he won me a league. But he's that guy. If he's like your second, third, fourth linebacker, you know you can always plug him in. He's going to get you something. He's going to get you at least okay stats. He might not win you the week, but he's going to get you something. So I always think if you're just looking for a guy like, hey, on a terrible defense, which the Bengals have, who can I count on? If Hendrickson's out of the mix with his sack total, Logan Wilson's my next guy.
All right, let me get to a bust here for the Bengals. And this one's a little disappointing because I had, I don't want to say like high aspirations, but I had aspirations of him being fantasy viable. And that is Miles Murphy, edge rusher for the Cincinnati Bengals. Back-to-back years, 20 pressures or less with only 3 sacks. Look, when they brought him in, it was 2 years ago, and it was like, well, Trey Hendrickson's contract is coming up. So do they keep him? Does he go? Does he stay? Well, Miles Murphy is good against the run in college. He was good against rushing the passer. He was very multifaceted. Is this the Sam Hubbard replacement? You know, he was basically, you know, in the IDP community, and at least with me, that guy who's like, whoever's not there, he's going to take that job. And then what do the Bengals do? They drafted Shamar Stewart and gave in to his ridiculous demands. I'm sorry, I said it. I don't care. In contract negotiations this year. So Shamar Stewart, he's apparently the Hubbard replacement. I think they're going to sign Hendrickson. It's just a matter of time. The fact that he's there just tells me a lot also. So it's just a matter of time, just some posturing that's going on there. But yeah, Miles Murphy, man, I'm sorry, man. It's just you are not getting that opportunity. And when you're given that opportunity, you know, you're not really doing too much with it. So you for IDP Fantasy Football are a bust.
I love
Murphy coming out.
3 QB hits, 215 pass rush attempts. That's all you need to know right there. I'm not drafting him either. I'd rather Asai, to be honest.
Man, he was a guy I liked coming out of college, man. He has just broken me in a few leagues. I'm like, oh, Asai's been better than him. Like, I'd rather have him. Like Steve said, I'd rather have Asai for sure. Murphy is just one of those guys, man. I tell you what, we've gotten some really good players from Clemson, but man, have we got some real busts on defense the last couple of years out of Clemson players. I hate to just throw them all in that mix, but there's been a lot of high-end drafted Clemson players on defense that have not given us much the last couple of years.
I want to give a shout out here to Philip in the chat, giving us a nice donation here to the show here at Fantasy and Frames. Thank you. Thank you. That is very humbling to have you do that for us. We really appreciate it. Easy B in the chat. What are your guys' opinions on Quinshon Judkins? Does he play this year? So get some good news, bad news. Good news is we will answer your question in the chat. The bad news is we will answer your question in the chat because for the sake of IDP shows, we try to keep it to IDP related questions, but we will answer.
I mean, you give me $2, I'll answer it now. I'll go downstairs and yell it out my window.
Well, see, we just got the $2, so then it would be like a net loss then if we did that. So JT, drop that in the chat if you will. And with us, let's get into a sleeper here for the Bengals. Let's finish things off here for the AFC North IDP divisional preview. Who do you got for us, Steve?
I'm giving you Jordan Battle. This is a guy I'm kind of high on. He was a top 5 at his position in tackle rate on limited snaps last season. He only had 463 snaps. With Von Bell now gone, he's expected to step into a very box-heavy role with former Notre Dame defensive guru Al Golden. I just want to go down memory lane. JT loves this draft class, don't he, with the defensive backs? I had him that rookie year as the second defensive back, right behind Brian Branch. He was an all SEC as a senior, 54 games, started 44, team captain. He was a ball hawk in his own right, and it's kind of neat to see him given the full enchilada, the full opportunity.
Love it, love it, love it. All right, folks, that's going to do it here for us here on Shoot the Gap Part 1, covering the AFC North. If you're just catching the tail end of this, go back and rewatch it. And if you are in a little crunch for time, no worries. It will be in podcast forms tomorrow morning. But don't go anywhere. It's Fantasy and Frames Wednesdays. You know all that. Right now at 9 p.m., we are going to be having the beginning of another Shoot the Gap episode where we talk about the IDPs and the NFC North. So just stay tuned for that. But before we get out of here, any parting words here, Steve? Let's start with you then, JT.
I don't have anything. I think you covered it well and answered everything, and looking forward to the next show.
All right, JT, anything you want to drop for other people, or are we good to go?
I'm not rushing now. I'm here. I'm ready to go. We're moving now.
All right, folks. We'll see you in about 10 minutes. Stay tuned in, and thank you very much for joining us for the AFC North IDP Divisional Fantasy Football Preview. We out.